So Tesla is once again proving why it's just exciting to be an owner with their newest spring update. This is the second year running where we are not only getting a big Christmas update, but other big updates throughout the year as well. Within this newest spring update, we have changes to Sentry mode to further aid you should someone attack your car. Adaptive headlights finally being enabled, but only for certain cars, and I'll show you how you can tell if your car will get it or not. A way that makes not having premium connectivity even easier, and even an undocumented change that we'll discuss at the end that may actually throw you off at first and has some owners a little upset. First up, version number, it's 2025.14 and up will contain the spring update. If you're not sure what you have, you can just check in your app. If you don't have it and you're the type of person that wants to get these updates like as soon as they become available, I would recommend having all of your privacy settings set to enabled, along with having your system software tab set to advanced. No, there's no proof this actually helps with the speed at which you get updates, but it can't hurt in the off chance that they do start prioritizing cars with these settings enabled. So first up, this is the big one. Adaptive headlights are finally here. Well, they've technically been here since like 2021, but Tesla is just finally enabling them in the US. You are currently seeing them in action right now. Essentially, your auto high beams are on all the time. And instead of swapping to low beams, it keeps your high beams on and in real time tracks while turning off lights that would otherwise illuminate other traffic, thus allowing you to have the road nice and lit up as it would be with your high beams on while not blinding other drivers. There was an update some time ago that enabled something like this with bends in the road. I've had it turned on and never noticed anything, but this appears to be like the actual full adaptive headlight package. Now, most Teslas produced in 2021 and later will have the necessary hardware to make this work, but be aware that there are some like known batches where Tesla just didn't include them. The best way to tell if you are in that like 2021 to 2022 model year and you're unsure is to just check your headlights for a lamp or this bulb. It should look like this. If your headlight doesn't have the bulb, well then sadly you don't have them. However, you can actually retrofit them if you want. Just Google it. It's not too hard from what I've heard. You could also apparently pay Tesla to do it themselves, or you could DIY it, which would technically be much cheaper, assuming you can find good deals on headlights. But before you do, if you're a Model 3 owner, don't forget that you can actually like fully retrofit the Highland front fascia plus headlights to an old Model 3. So that may be something that may interest you even more. Next up, this is actually a change that I briefly mentioned in my previous video on the new Model 3 Performance versus used Model S Plaid for the same money video. Blind spot cameras finally on the front driver's display. If the Model S and X were Tesla's moneymakers, this would have been a thing like 2 years ago, but it's nice to finally see it here. And all the people getting those Plaids for like insanely cheap deals, I'm sure you're going to enjoy this. Now, this next change is actually something I'm very excited to try out, the alternate trip planner. Tesla is now offering 3 different settings when planning longer-ish road trips where you got to make multiple stops. Option 1 is labeled as the fastest and offers the quickest route. Option 2, best amenities, which prioritizes stops near open and highly rated restaurants, shops, and restrooms. And option 3, fewer stops, which just minimizes charging stops. Now, I've preached this in the past, but making fewer stops charging at the lower end of your battery, that 5 to 55% range, is almost always going to be quicker than making fewer stops charging your car all the way up. And if you've ever road tripped a Tesla, it kind of does a blend of options 1 and 3, and sometimes it's just random. Like I've had it to where it'll tell me to charge all the way up to like 80% when there are several other supercharger stops that I could stop at, so I don't have to kind of just sit there charging for no reason. So now that Tesla actually has this as a setting, I'm hoping this means that they're leaning into this way of road tripping that some people, including myself, like to do. Another routing option that they added is the ability to avoid highways, which I'm personally excited about just for FSD videos. I'm not too sure how useful this will be for like normal commuting, as at least where I'm at, highways are always faster than main roads. Nonetheless, though, it's a setting that can be toggled within the navigation submenu. Now for a big one, and this one is in direct response to the recent Tesla attacks and vandalism. The enabling of the B-pillar cameras within both both dash cam and Sentry recordings. Fun fact, apparently it was possible prior to this to get your B-pillar recording from Tesla if an EDR was triggered. It's like an event data. It's essentially if your car detects that it's been in a crash, then it will save it. And if you request your data from Tesla, then they should be able to get you that recording. I've seen reports of people being successful with this. But like I just mentioned, it required you to be in a crash. Whereas now it's just natively supported. You can view it within the dashcam app, within your phone, and via the USB stick. Tesla has also slightly redesigned the dashcam app to offer a more grid-like main page, kind of like how they do when you're viewing it within the mobile app, along with the left and right B-pillars now being a selectable option. However, this does appear to be limited to hardware 4 or AI 4 cars, which is kind of a bummer, especially for Model 3 owners, as you have to have the refresh. Because if you all remember, Tesla did not update the Legacy 3 to include hardware 4 when they updated the Legacy Y to include hardware 4. Also, speaking of Legacy Y owners, if you are a Legacy Y owner, Test Stuff has just increased the Legacy Y sale up to 50% off, plus free shipping on orders over $150. Floor mats, screen protectors, organizers, once they're gone, and they will not be restocked. No code needed. I'll have everything linked below. They've also added the ability to skip to the next video instead of having to go back to the list, which is a huge plus considering I'd always get confused on which ones I had watched if there were multiple and the preview image like all looked this. I can't be the only one that's gotten confused by that. Now, while this is a fantastic change and very, very welcome, more cameras recording does mean more data being used up on your USB stick. For those that have watched my previous accessories video, yes, I am still using my 1TB Samsung T7. 3 cars now, 0 issues. I've literally never formatted it. I probably should, as if I go really far back, I have recordings on there from my first Model 3. But yeah, I've just never ran out of space. Plus, they're pretty cheap now compared to when I bought mine. I'll have this one linked below on Amazon. Not sponsored or anything. I just always forget to mention it because honestly, I kind of just forget it's there, which is just really a testament to how well it works. The ability to adjust your trunk height is a pretty well-known hidden feature. Yes, Tesla does talk about it in the manual, but no one really reads that. And I know a lot of people that just don't know about this feature, but most people do know. I've shown it many times in the past, but a request that I've heard from quite a few people is the ability to have different heights depending on the location. Like in your garage, if you don't have a ton of room vertically, you probably don't want it to go all the way up and hit the ceiling. Whereas if you're out and about, you probably do want it to go all the way up as you don't really care. Well, this is exactly what we got. Just adjust the trunk height to your liking, either on the screen by stopping it in the position that you want, and that will save it to the location that you're at, or manually just lower it, raise it up, press and hold the button until you hear the beep, and then that will also save to the location that you're at. You can even go into your settings to delete certain locations or clear all the locations. This is a very nice feature and in line with Tesla's other per location settings like air suspension, side mirrors folding, etc. Lane departure avoidance, front height based on location, and auto going into comfort when enabling autopilot have all been added for the Cybertruck. I don't really talk about the triangle much here on the channel, but I do want to mention it. And that last one, the suspension auto adjusting to comfort whenever you go into autopilot, is similar to what Model 3 Performance owners got a month or so back. There is a setting you can enable that when you go into autopilot or full self-driving, if you are in the sport suspension setting, it will automatically put it into standard for a more comfortable ride. And considering I'm about to swap back to my Warp wheels, I'll actually be using the sport setting, as I just never used it when I first got the car, except for a few hours. So this will be nice, as normally when I am manually driving, I do want to feel more of the road. I just left it in standard because I just didn't want to keep switching back and forth. Next is a setting that allows all the ports, that's the low voltage ports, like the 12 volt, little cigarette lighters, all of your USB ports, your wireless chargers, all to stay powered when you've exited the vehicle. I could have sworn this was already a thing. I do know it was a thing in camp mode, so that was a way to do it. But I think as long as you had Sentry mode on, then your ports would stay active for like 30 minutes or something. It was something like that. But now it's an actual setting, and just like Sentry mode, it will function all the way until you're at sub 20% battery, at which point it'll turn off to preserve battery. Now, as for what Tesla refers to as minor updates, even though there are some pretty big ones here, Apple Music users who have been super frustrated with how Tesla was handling playlist, only playing a select number of songs, will be happy to hear that that is now fixed, as you can now shuffle more than 100 songs in a playlist. If you use YouTube Music, you can now see what the next song will be in the playlist via the Up Next. If you are a hotspot user who does not pay for premium connectivity, Tesla has now made it to where the car will automatically connect to your hotspot when going into drive, so you no longer have to go in and manually select it each time, which I thought was already a thing. During my Is Premium Connectivity Worth It video, I discussed a Apple automation that you could do on like an iPhone that would automatically turn your hotspot on and off whenever the phone connected to the vehicle to, help preserve your like phone's battery life. And I could have sworn that the car automatically connected to it as long as the hotspot was enabled. However, maybe I just didn't go into drive. Maybe it got changed since then. I'm not too sure. I thought this was already a thing, but it's good to see now that it's officially a thing, which, like I mentioned earlier, is a little weird because you would think that Tesla would want to make it harder for you not to use the paid service, but they're actually doing the opposite here. For people that have contact photos, this is now a thing within the car via, like, if you get a phone call within the like contacts app, within the car, if you have your phone connected, it will show contact photos. Media results are now filtered by source, and as someone that uses both Apple Music and Spotify, I'm very happy to see this as a change, and some other important security fixes. As for the hidden changes, normally we have more than just one. Maybe it's because just not that many people have gotten their hands on this update yet. Nonetheless, though, it is one that I've already seen people complaining about. The camera app has been updated to more align with the new Model Y's camera app. If you don't know, on the new Model Y, the Junipers, when you're viewing the camera app, if you swipe down, that's how you view your front camera. And the camera, your front bumper camera, will be on the top because it's in the front of your car. Where when you swipe up, you'll see your backup camera, and it's now at the bottom. Well, now in the Legacy Ys, which are the only cars that got this, where the Ys, the 3s didn't get this. As far as I know, the S and Xs didn't get this. Your rear view camera is now at the bottom instead of at the top like it was. So essentially your side repeater cameras have been flip-flopped with your bottom camera. I've seen a lot of people, they don't like this, but it's just like how it is on the new Model Y Juniper. Along with the camera being updated for the wider field of view, which is also a thing on the Juniper. I'd never mentioned this in my initial test drive, but that was one of the very first things I noticed was not that the field of view was wider, but just that the car looked more squished, which made sense. It is a wider field of view. Everything's going to look a little bit more squished. The field of view, though, I'm not too sure why the Model 3 S and X didn't get this, as they theoretically should all have the same cameras that should have a wider field of view. So I'm not too sure. Nonetheless, though, I've seen people say that they don't like it. Some people say that they do like it. Some people have complained that the lines now, like your reversing lines, don't line up. Apparently they do. You all can let me know your thoughts on this down below, along with all the other new features within the spring update. It is kind of a bummer to see the same thing that happened to Intel cars as they slowly got phased out, now happening to AI3 or Hardware 3 cars. The silver lining is, though, that apparently if you have full self-driving purchased, you will be able to get a free hardware retrofit when like full self-driving actually becomes a thing. Whenever that happens, apparently that should be free. So theoretically, you could have a car that right now is kind of going out of date with hardware 3, that in a few years, hardware 5, hardware 6, whatever it's going to be, all of a sudden your car gets the retrofit, and then you get all these features that the newer cars have had for a while. So that could be the silver lining. Now, if you are new around here and you want to see more Tesla-related stuff in your YouTube feed, then feel free to subscribe, and I will see you all in the next one.